Welcome to the Awakened Goddess Show, your source for inspiration, wisdom, and personal discovery. The place to learn from a diverse mix of mentors, metaphysical experts, spiritual leaders, and best-selling authors from around the world. I'm Angela Wilkinson, mindset mentor and founder of the Awakened Goddess Academy. Join me as I explore the minds of my masterful guests while they share powerful insights and easy-to-use tools you can start using right away. Now, let's tap into the energy of the Awakened Goddess and be enlightened by today's guest. Hey, I'm your host, Angela Wilkinson, and welcome to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show. Mashhur Anam is an internationally known alchemist, speaker, and the founder of Life Harmonized. He creates easy-to-use science-based transformational tools to help people access their personal power to manifest their desires and design their ideal lives. Curiosity, exploration, and a desire to help humanity raise its collective consciousness has guided him to explore the holographic nature of our universe and uncover a multitude of algorithms and equations that create and design our reality as we know it. He brings these tools to people and companies from all over the world in a way that is understandable and easy to apply. He uses his advanced understanding of holographic technology to help you become the architect of your own desired reality. Today, Mashhur and I talk about what it takes to attract unconditional love, how to heal your love and relationship DNA, and the relationship between love and money. But before I talk with Mashhur, are you ready to ditch dating drama and find Mr. Right? Join me for the Love Spark Love Mastery program, where I'll guide you through 5 powerful steps to get clear, get prepared, and get confident to meet the one and get your happily ever after. For more information about the program, go to theawakenedgoddess.com/love-spark, and you can sign up there. Now let's talk to Mashhur. Well, welcome, Mashhur, to the Awakened Goddess Show. I am absolutely thrilled to pieces to have you joining me today to talk about love and healing our DNA and our generational information that we've taken on about love and relationships. So welcome.
Well, thank you, Angela. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, excellent. Yeah, I've listened to you for a while, and so it's so fun to connect face to face here and actually get to see you in, well, kind of person, virtual person. So
Yeah, someday soon we're going to have holographic projection. So we are going to be all sitting around the table and we're going to see exactly what, all of us are doing. So
yeah,
it's going to be more fun.
it will be. It will be. So let's just jump right in and talk about some important steps to attract unconditional love.
Unconditional love, sometimes people think it's about getting what you want, but it's actually a little different. Unconditional love is not about any justification. It doesn't need any reason. You like birds chirping just because you love the sound. You love the ocean just because. You don't need to justify. You don't need to come up with an excuse. It is simply unconditional. You love babies simply because you love babies. So when it comes to love, in today's world, we have seen all kinds of things in the media industry and all kinds of things in the magazine and advertisement everywhere. And we are being taught about what we are supposed to like, who we are supposed to be, who we are supposed to choose. So, my vision is to look at helping all of us at the same time. That includes myself. So, helping all of us to rise above all those limitations and judgments and old ways of thinking and being. And let's really look at unconditional love. When we connect with people from our heart, then we don't have doubt or fear or worry or anxiety. We can just simply connect with another being and exchange information. So really, when we focus on unconditional love, the first thing is we need to accept ourselves and we need to love who we are. And I guess for, let's say, for the males in the society, self-love and acceptance, it would be a huge question mark. Like, what do you mean? You mean, do I love, I want to love certain type of sports, or, hang out with other people? No, just, love who you are. If you don't like your company, why would somebody else love your company? Let's say, you may want a lot of great friends. If you don't want to be around you, why would anybody else want to be around you, right?
Right.
So let's look at accepting who we are without judgment. Let's flush out all the judgments. Doesn't matter what hair colors we have, or eye color, or skin color, or race, nationality, gender. Let's rise above all of that. Let's look at our humanity. Let's look at our divinity. And let's just simply look at being in our heart space and being able to accept us for who we are, just because we are that. We are divine energy, and we have cosmic energy flowing through us. We are a part of this universe that is divine. And once we love and accept ourselves, then we can look at others and we can begin to create the same experience with everybody we meet.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I mean, that just sounds like such a beautiful thing to be able to get to that point, because it is challenging to love ourselves unconditionally and kind of dismiss all of the things that our society or media shows us is the way we're supposed to do, like relationships or love or what it looks like. But in essence, it's really that divine love, that unconditional love that you're talking about.
Yeah, once we step into that flow where we can simply operate more from our heart space and neutrality, and we're not going around judging us and everybody else, then we can rise above a lot of the disharmony that we experience, because majority of them are coming from our judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Why did he do this, or why did she say that? We create stories in our head. For example, I may just wave my hand to a friend that I see across the street, and then I see he just runs and he doesn't wave back. I can create a story in my head that, what, we know each other for so long, something must have happened. He doesn't like me, we're not getting along. I wondered if it was about that book I did not return in time, like 20 years ago. Maybe he just ran for the bathroom. And we created a story about what happened. So we color everything.
Mm-hmm.
Let's begin to rise above that. We are programmed to do that, so that will pop up all the time. But we want to notice consciously, is it serving us? Is it true? Are we making it up? Are we assuming? Are we judging? Let's then flush those out of our system. Let's put all those thoughts, feelings, and beliefs in a gigantic recycle bin. Let those energies get recycled, and let's really focus on creating connections where we each empower the other.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. So, this I think is a great place to talk about the generational healing. Um, so, can you talk about what happens, say, in the womb, or how we take on the programming from our ancestors? How does that work?
Recently I've been doing a lot of work with generational healing. In my experience in the last few years, especially working with thousands of people from all around the world, I've noticed that a lot of times people make major shifts, but then somehow they go back to some of these old patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we have difficulty detaching from them. We know what's best for us, we simply don't want to detach. And that's one of the reason is Because from our ancestors, we don't only get our looks and our color and the hair color and body shape and everything. They pass down everything, their thoughts, feelings, experiences, all the things that they have gone through. They basically transfer that database to us. So when I talk about generational healing, I'm mainly talking about your ancestors going back, let's say 3 to 5 generations. That's where we get majority of our programming from. And then our parents are a big part of that generational transformation process where they are passing down so much information because even before conceptions, the thoughts and feelings of our parents, and some people may say, well, I never knew my birth parents. It doesn't matter. You still have their genetic imprints. So, especially 2 years before the birth, and starting that time and through the time in the womb, the parents and especially what the mother experiences, all those information get downloaded in us. They are a part of our DNA. They are a part of our memory system. And for that reason, when they have experienced a lot of lack or limitation or some kind of shame, guilt, betrayal patterns or abusive patterns, we we embrace them without knowing that we have done that. So they become a part of us. And then what happens is we begin to repeat some of those same patterns, or we begin to attract similar people in our life, for relationship or for business. So that's why you see in some families, let's say the males succeed in business. The females are maybe attorneys or lawyers or doctors. You see in different families, for generations they do similar things or they succeed similarly. And in some families, you see a lot of patterns that get passed down where same things repeat and people keep experiencing the same disharmonies. So my focus is now to really help people shift those. We have all those imprints or blueprints around finances, around love and relationships, around health. And a lot of that are stored in our spinal cord and in the spinal column. So when information go up and down through the spine, a lot of those files are checked. So think about those as definition files. Information is going down through your spine, through your nervous system, and it's checking the definition. Is it okay for us to make more than, let's say, $60,000 or $80,000 or $100,000? If the definition file says money makes you greedy, then there is a conflict. Our system can reject, saying, well, I don't want that success because that would make me greedy. And that may have, we may have received that from our parents or grandparents who were taught that. So all of these play a big role in our success and in how we live our lives. So really, we want to look at healing all these generational imprints from our ancestors, from parents, from the environment. That's like within the first 7, 8 years, what we notice around us, because that's where we get majority of our programming. And then from our personal experience. So these are some of the major types of blueprints or imprints that get downloaded to us or become a part of us. And we really need to harmonize them to create the life that we really desire.
Yeah, so are there specific imprints for love and relationships? Because it sounds like, there's something for
Absolutely.
everything, health and finances and success. So, so how many are there and what, do they have
You know,
names or?
Yeah, I call them, well, I basically call them based on where they're coming from. So
Mm,
one is, or a big part of it is a generational or family love and relationship imprint, which is primarily the 3 to 5 generations before your parents. So your parents also receive some of that, and that's a big one. And so, for example, let's ask you a question. How did your grandparents treat each other? That information is a part of your system. Did they love each other or were they roommates? What beliefs did they have around money and romance? What type of friends did they have? Were they mostly alone or were they surrounded by friends? All those got passed down to you, and they get passed down to us as a part of our generational or family love and relationship imprint. Then there is the parental love and relationship imprint, which has to do with how did the parents treat each other, and what type of feelings did they have when we were conceived. Were they happy? Did they think, oh my goodness, how am I going to get all the money? Then there is a worthiness issue that get imprinted in us. It's not like they wanted to hurt us, but it's just because those thoughts, feelings become a part of us, and we experience that. Let's think about our siblings. Did our parents like our siblings more than us? Then that created some worthiness patterns. Did for some people, parents gave them up for adoption. That's a huge issue. Like nobody loves me. So all of these get passed down to us directly from our parents, and these are parental love and relationship imprints. Also, if we saw our parents arguing or treating each other in a harsh way or being abusive, even if we were 6 months old or a year old or 2 years old, we did not have any filter at that time. So we embodied a lot of that energy and information. Then we have the environmental love and relationship imprint, which has to do with what we have seen in schools, in colleges. Did we see other kids had more toys or fun things or latest updates or the gadgets, and we did not? We created all kinds of issues. And then the last one is the personal love and relationship imprint, which is our own journey. What did we experience? How do we think about love and romance? How do we think about family? What qualities are we looking for? What were some of our experiences? So these are four major types of love and relationships imprints, and they control our comfort zone, our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual comfort zone. And that basically tells us what type of love and relationship we can experience in life. So when we want to change what we are experiencing, or when we want to attract something different and somebody new, or we want to focus on enhancing our relationship, we need to harmonize all of these imprints and flush out the things that are no longer beneficial for us so we can create new definitions for ourselves. We can redefine love and we can focus on designing our new reality.
It's amazing how much affects our love life or our financial life. It's just I never thought that there was that many factors at the energetic level that really have an effect on us. So
Mhm.
that's kind of wild to think about.
Yeah, it is fascinating because sometimes I've heard, I think my mother used to tell me that that I would walk like my father, because my father was in the army, and there are a lot of habits that I picked up from him. So whenever people saw me, they would ask me, were you in the service? I said, no, my dad was. Why? Like you were standing like, you were in the army. I'm like, no. So I learned to relax a little bit more over a period of time. But how I walked or how I talked, a lot of that, when people who knew my parents or grandparents, they would say that I have so much similarities with them. So it's fascinating. The great traits are awesome when we embody some of the habits that are empowering for us, they are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But when they're hurting us, when they're creating disharmony for us, those are the ones we want to change.
Yeah, so how do we know if it's a generational pattern that is affecting our life, like versus, our own, just our own thought process or.
One thing is we don't necessarily have to know, but what we can do is we can go back and really spend some time. Let's take 15 minutes and think about grandparents. Let's take 15 minutes think about parents. How did we grow up? What are some of the thought process? Let's ask some of those questions. Were they happy? Were they roommates? What were their thought process or point of view around love and romance? What lessons did we get from them? What did we see around us? So when we begin to notice those, and when we stop and analyze what we have experienced in life around love and relationships so far, then we can actually see some of those repeating patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can break them more easily.
Yeah, so it sounds like what you talked about earlier, the comfort zones. And so, um, again, how do we know that we're kind of stuck in our comfort zone? Like, what
Mhm.
would that look like?
One major thing is when you notice that you want something different, whatever you're experiencing, it's not aligning with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not making you happy. You don't like something, or you don't like certain connections, or how you're communicating with somebody, then your inner guidance will tell you, your heart will tell you, are you fully joyful and happy? Do you feel that everything is going perfectly? Well, perfect is, about judgment, but are you thinking that your life is improving on a regular basis? Or do you feel like nothing's working? You're
Mm-hmm.
repeating the same thing. You feel stuck. You don't know what to do. So notice your own thought process and notice your inner judgment. That will tell you where you are. If you are overthinking about something over and over and over again, then that has to do with your mental love and relationship comfort zone. If
Mm-hmm.
you are constantly reviewing what happened in the past and who did what and why, what should have happened, what could have happened, then a lot of, yeah, that is coming from your mental and emotional comfort zone. So let's look at where you are. Let's not run away from anything. That's not what we want to do.
Yeah.
But let's look at where we are, and let's consciously decide, do we like what we see? Do we like how we feel? Do we like how we think about love and relationships? If not, let's change it. What is working, let's keep them. They're working,
Mm-hmm.
they're great. But what is not working in our lives, let's change them so we can enhance life. And the other question is, I ask people often, what is your vision around love and relationships? A lot of times people simply don't have the answer because nobody has asked them.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to look at our vision. So this year, what I'm asking people to do is, anybody I speak with, what is your vision? Begin to think about your focus for the year. If love and relationship is a priority, whether it's attracting somebody new, or whether it's harmonizing what you have, or whether it's about harmonizing family connection, let's make that priority, and we have the whole year to work on it. It doesn't have to be done in the next 3 days or 7 days or in the month of February. We have the whole year to redesign our life around love and relationship so that we have a solid foundation. We're not standing on sinking sand anymore. And then, for the rest of our lives, we can enhance it.
Mm-hmm.
I often give this example. We brush our teeth, every day, multiple times a day, preferably. In a similar way, we want to look at enhancing lives. So we want to focus on what we desire. And for that, first we need to look at where we are, what we would like to change, and then have that vision. Where would I like to be by the end of this year? Where would I like to be in 3 months? Let's break it down into quarters so we can look at our lives the way companies look at themselves. We are used to that. Our brain is used to that process. So let's apply that and let's evaluate ourselves every 3 months. Let's really sit down and look at all the things, and let's fine tune and solidify our vision.
Mm-hmm. I wonder, do you find that people have trouble defining their vision because maybe they've had circumstances over and over where they were disappointed, and
Mm-hmm.
so they're afraid to really ask for what they want, or they don't even know like how much to ask for?
Yeah, one big question is, if I haven't experienced it, how do I know I want that? Or what do I actually want?
Yeah.
What am I looking for? So my first thing would be to look at, you know, do I feel joyful when I think about love and relationships? And let's think about romance. Let's think about relationship with parents, with kids, with our neighbors, with our, co-workers, whoever are the people we are connecting with on a regular basis. Let's think about all of our love and relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're all relationships. Even when we think about abundance, it's our relationship to finances.
Mm-hmm.
So everything is about relationships. So let's look at where we are and how can we enhance it. So that's the first question. What would you like to experience in your daily life? What would you like to manifest? So when we ask, what would I like to experience in our daily lives, then it becomes an easier question to answer. So
Mm-hmm.
let's take a look at that and let's define that. 5 years from now, it's going to be different.
Yeah.
6 months from now, it may be different than what we're thinking about now. But first, let's define something. Let's have a vision, because when we have a vision, we can direct the cosmic flow of energy toward that vision.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
So the way we can use a sprinkler for having the water go all over the place, versus we can use a hose to direct the water in a particular way. We can focus on a vision around love and relationship to harness the cosmic energies and allow them to flow towards our vision, and then we can fine tune them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a great image. Very helpful to know just to focus that energy, and I like how um, you break it down and you make it so we don't have to know the grand scheme of things in 5 years. Where do we want to see our life? It's really taking it back to, well, in this moment, what's going to bring me the most joy, and then kind of work out
Mhm.
from there, and using that as a guidance system.
Right, right. In order for me to be happy 5 years from now, I need to be happy now. If I'm not happy now, 5 years is gonna just pass by, and it's gonna pass by very quickly. So let's look at the vision for this particular year. Where do we want to go this year? What is the vision around love and relationships?
Mm-hmm.
What do we want to experience? How would we want to enhance our lives? So what do we want to manifest? Let's ask those questions and let's focus on those questions and let's create that vision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think I already know the answer, but I want you to kind of flesh it out. Your perspective on the correlation between love relationships and money. What would you say about Do you see a correlation? And
Oh, absolutely. They're all about relationships. And one thing is, a lot of times when we don't like who we are, when we have a lot of disharmony deep inside us, we see that a lot of times people want to make up by having a lot of money, having fancy things, showing off, so that they can be liked by others.
mm,
But inside there is a void. When you don't have that void, you don't have to show off. So the money can flow through you when you are in love, when you are in joy, because the vibration is higher. And when the vibration is higher, then we will notice that things work out nicely. You know, in today's world, about, I think, according to many studies, about 8%, 7 or 8% of world's currency are actually in paper form. The rest is just digital. So these are numbers in the computer, and we are doing all kinds of electronic transactions, and we don't have to get caught up in the number that's in the bank.
mm,
The idea of allowing abundance is that you can attract anything you desire whenever you desire with speed. So when we look at self-love, self-acceptance, and when we allow the cosmic energy to flow through us with harmony, and when our vibration is higher, we can manifest with speed. So when we experience more love and joy, we can attract finances more easily too. They're not separate, they're all connected. And
mm.
when we experience more love and joy, we are also healthy because we're not living our lives with stress and anxiety. Then we can attract vibrant health more easily.
Yeah. So, thinking about people in relationship and say they've been married or together for a while, and then they find themselves kind of growing apart, or they have some differences that show up. How does one kind of use this perspective to get back in alignment
Mhm.
with their
You know,
partner?
well, yeah, that's a great question. The thing is, every day we have different things happening to us, and we are, different individuals, even though we are connected, but we have our own thoughts, feelings, emotions, and beliefs. So, one thing that is important, and if we can implement this, it will be awesome. Uh, Before we go to bed, for especially for couples, before we sleep, let's take maybe 5 minutes to review the day.
Mm,
Did we hurt each other in any way? Is there anything unresolved? Even if you don't do it on a daily basis, let's do it on a weekly basis. Let's do it on a monthly basis. Let's begin somewhere. So if oftentimes what happens is, people may break up because they wanted to watch different channels, and but that started 2 years ago,
right.
and over a period of time things build up, and somebody putting a cup of tea in the wrong place could trigger all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just not wasn't that only thing. It started months ago or years ago. So when we begin to clean our hearts, and when we begin to go to sleep with clean hearts, then we can really focus on waking up in harmony. So let's look at, where we are in our relationships, and together let's figure out where we want to go. If one person's vision is imposed on the other person, that doesn't quite work.
Right.
So we need to look at where do we want to go together. If I say Alaska, somebody else says Sahara, well, there's a huge difference in the environment, in
Mm-hmm.
everything. So where do we want to go together? So that's the question. So let's really begin to focus on where we are. Let's ask, do we hold any old grudges? Are we holding on to some deep wounds inside us? Let's clear those on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis, if not daily, but at least on a weekly basis, let's clear them, and let's design the future together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it sounds like a lot of this work, um, it comes up in layers. You know, our our um, our patterns and stuff can show up over time, and as we're clearing and releasing some, it seems like there could be like another deeper layer that shows up behind
Mhm.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, we have all those, those are the imprints that we may clear some of the things we have experienced, but underneath that, there are a lot of things our parents passed down to us. We clear them, then underneath them, we have things that our grandparents or great grandparents passed down to us. So we have all those layers because, we have journeyed through so much in our life and in our soul where you experience a lot. So all those layers are there, the connections are there. So let's begin to harmonize them. That's why I really focus on generational healing these days because then we're not only focusing on what we see right now, we are going much deeper and we are looking at going way back to 5 generations before your parents.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at all these generations and let's harmonize what is not beneficial. Let's resolve old patterns. Let's flush out old programmings. Let's transform them. And let's begin to focus on our vision. So when we harmonize those and when we unplug a lot of those thoughts and feelings and beliefs, the way we unplug a phone from a computer, we can do the same. So let's unplug all those programmings or apps. They pass down to us because we know all about apps and everything these days.
Mm-hmm.
Let's begin to look at all these little things as apps that are slowing you down. They're slowing down your phone, your computer. Let's begin to uninstall them one by one. Let's begin to learn the lessons and let's get rid of what we don't want. And let's not keep thinking about all the things that happened in the past because then we force ourselves to go back and relive those moments.
Mm.
Instead, I ask the question, what would I rather experience? Let's ask that question and then we can shift our mindset and focus on something that would be empowering for us. So let's look at our vision. Let's clear all the things that are a part of our generations, all kinds of shame, guilt, betrayal, abuse, lack of a healthy love and relationships. Let's begin to clear them. Let's begin to unplug from those old programmings and let's begin to really focus on the things that we would love to experience.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know you have some great tools that you walk people through. And I'm wondering, I always like to know how things work. So I'm curious if you can kind of speak to the mechanics of how those tools kind of change or shift or heal this DNA code or
Mhm.
in the morphic field and stuff.
The brand new program around love and relationship that I have developed, it's called Generational Healing for Love and Relationships. And what I'm doing now, and I bring in a lot of technology references because my background is technology. So I bring in science, technology, and spirituality together. So what I look at is I look at the what I call the hologram. How do I see it? I'm used to reading codes.
Mm-hmm.
In school and in my professional work, leading a lot of web projects for media companies, I'm used to reading codes. I'm used to reading information. So what I learned to do is I learned to look at people, I learned to look at groups and see the information flow. So what I look at is a person's imprints, generational imprints. Think about a motherboard on your computer. What does that a generational motherboard look like? You know, does it look like it's in harmony? Does it look like there's a lot of issues that need to be resolved? So what I begin to do is in the class, I'll begin to look at the people and the information that they hold in their brain, in their spinal column, in their organs. So I'm looking at all these networks around love and relationships. I'm looking at the generational network, the parental network, the environmental network, and the personal network. So I learned to understand the code. So that's why it's easy for me, for somebody who does not have a similar background, that person may think differently or feel differently. Some people notice by feelings. Some people notice by having a thought pop up. And they're all fine. I'm just talking about how I notice things. So I basically look at all these, what I call imprints. Think about these as different motherboards that are plugged into your system. So let's look at these motherboards and let's look at what's not beneficial and what is beneficial. Now, how do I know what's not beneficial? They show up as, um, you know, um, almost like think about red lights. They show up as a lot of patterns in disharmony. When something is beneficial, they show up is as patterns of harmony. So it could be green light or golden light. So when I look at uh, what is not working or the information that got passed down and stored in your system that is causing a lot of disharmony, gradually what I begin to do is I begin to bring in solution matrix. I begin to bring in transformation energy so we can dissolve those patterns. We can flush them out of our system so we don't hold on to them anymore. And then we can unplug from those events and memories. And that really helps us to detach from what's not beneficial and then focus on the things that we would love to experience.
Yeah. Ooh. Well, thank you for explaining that because that gives me a better idea and understanding how kind of it works. So that's cool. So I'm wondering if you have a tip for the listeners, something practical that they can start doing right away to help them maybe look at their own patterns or maybe just start to shift something for themselves.
Mhm. The some of the things that I do is I always help people to connect with the earth and the sun because earth gives us a lot of grounding energy and we need sunlight. The trees need sunlight, ourselves need sunlight. So I help people to create a vortex. And what we can do is just close your eyes and it could be for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes. Even if you don't meditate or you have never done it, it's fine. Think about spiraling energy coming up from the center of earth through your feet, going all the way up, and think about the rays of the sun spiraling down and coming down through you and going all the way to the center of earth. Then you have a spiraling vortex between the earth and the sun, and you're inside that vortex. So let's create that and then think about rose gardens. Think about rose petals flying in from gardens becoming a part of that vortex. And these rose petals are going through you. And then keep it running for a few minutes and then think about what are you experiencing now? If you have experienced certain difficulty, if you're experiencing thoughts, feelings, emotions that are not beneficial, if you've experienced abuse or hardship, imagine those, think about those memories, think about those people, think about those events, think about those connections, and then imagine dirty water coming out of you and all the people who were involved at full force, and that dirty water is going into a recycle bin. So you are already running that vortex. You're simply standing in the middle of that vortex, and then you're thinking about what are some of the things around love and relationship that cause disharmony. Flush them out of your system. When you imagine dirty water coming out, you are telling your brain, the analytical part of your brain, that you are letting go of what is not beneficial because your brain knows everyone wants clean water, no one wants dirty water. Your brain understands the reference of dirty water very easily. So let's flush out the disharmony among, let's say yourself and your family members. So let's flush out any beliefs that it's hard to attract somebody, or it's difficult to fall in love, or it's difficult to experience love. Whatever beliefs that you have that are not beneficial, let's begin to flush those out.
Mm-hmm.
And as we go through the process multiple times, if we do it, let's say 5 minutes a day for a month, you will notice significant difference. And when we notice that, at some point we will notice that when we think about dirty water, there isn't that much dirty water. There's a little bit that may come out, but then it's mostly clear. Then we know that the work is done. Then we can focus more on other things. So we can begin to do that on a regular basis, especially for those who have not experienced any of my tools or programs or don't have it. You don't need to have any particular tools to create these visuals. So simple 3 steps: imagine a vortex between the earth and the sun, bring in all those rose energy, so it's a part of that vortex. Step into that vortex, and then simply experience the energy, and then focus on some of the things that you would like to change and flush out dirty water from yourself. And once you do that, you are done. Then focus, ask yourself the question, what would I love to experience now? So when we ask that question, we can focus on possibilities and solutions.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've started. I put a reminder on my phone that reminds me every day to do a process like that. So it's like helps me remember and get in that
Mhm.
habit. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's a great idea, especially for those, and maybe everybody now, who have smartphones. We can label the alarms.
Yes.
So label one alarm for enhance love or attract love. Name it so that you are reminded, and you could do it for 5 minutes. You could do it for 10 minutes. Uh, if you have a busy day, just before going to bed, do it for a couple of minutes. It still would make a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very cool. All right. Well, you have a an amazing gift to share with the listeners. So can you tell us about that?
Yes, you can actually download a sample of a generational healing from another class that I've done recently. And this one is about doing some deep healing in the womb. So you will actually experience healing of a lot of information that got passed down to you from your previous generations when you were in the womb. You will look at flushing out and harmonizing a lot of the old programmings and non-beneficial thoughts, feelings, images, and beliefs that you have. So it's a really powerful journey. I call it a journey. You go through a journey. You go through a number of processing and integration. So you can listen to it multiple times. When you listen to it, simply close your eyes. When I ask a question, answer the question, simply experience, and then notice what happens over the next few days. After a week later, listen to it again. So listen to this short journey once a week, especially for the next, let's say, 3 or 4 weeks, and then you will notice how much of a difference that makes, because you will notice that some of your thoughts and feelings are different. You have
Mm-hmm.
shifted some of the old ways of thinking. So let's do that. And let's also add the simple 5 minute process. We can make it 10 minutes, but a lot of people come up with the excuse, I'm busy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then do 5 minutes. Here's my response. If you cannot make 10 minutes for yourself, then whatever you're doing is not really working.
Yeah.
because you need to have enough time for yourself. When we do everything for everybody else, we can get frustrated and we can burn out pretty easily. So, that's another part of the self love and acceptance. Take care of yourself. And a part of taking care is spending at least 5 minutes. 10 minutes would be awesome, but at least start with 5 minutes a day and notice how much changes in a month. Because when you create or make a significant shift in your life, that's going to enhance your life. So,
Mm-hmm.
why not spend some extra time every day for a month and create a major shift so your whole life can change?
Yeah. Well, and going back to where we started this interview, it's that self love. And yeah, if you are not taking that time, you don't have that foundation to receive that unconditional love, even if it were to show up right in front of you.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you don't have that for yourself. So excellent. Yeah. And so, what's the best way for the listeners to connect with you?
Well, no, there's a brand new program that's coming up, and it's called Generational Healing for Love and Relationship. It's a three-part program where we will actually go through all those imprints that I talked about. And what I will actually help you do, and these are going to be all journeys and transformation process. So it's not all lectures. You will actually experience a lot of the things because I
Mm-hmm.
will guide you through the process and I will do a lot of the work for you and with you. I will ask you questions, you will answer them, and we're going to change some of those imprints. We are going to bring in transformation energy and tools, and we will rewrite a lot of those imprints that are coming from older generations, from parents, from environment, and from our own experiences. So we will unplug from those, we will harmonize those, and we will really create a major shift by removing and harmonizing a lot of these imprints so that your threshold, your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual thresholds or comfort zone to attract love and relationships or to enhance what you have can go up very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a powerful three-part program. You can always explore that and let us know your experience. I'm always interested to find out your experience. And another part of the program is also about soulmates and twin flames. There are a lot of misconceptions. A lot of people think they are supposed to be happy when something like that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Well, happiness is an inner job. So we need to raise our vibration so that those connections can happen. Let's detach from somebody else is gonna make me happy
Mm-hmm.
because nobody can make me happy if I'm not happy inside.
Right.
If somebody can control my happiness, which is actually alarming, I don't want somebody else to control my happiness because then somebody else can do something that would change me dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to be happy inside. I want to be holding the vibration of unconditional love inside so that the other person can show up and we can experience that together. Or if you already have a relationship, then we can experience that with somebody else. So if you are a couple, then you can go through the program together.
Excellent. Yeah, there was someone that I know that just recently went through your generational healing program for abundance, and they were just raving about it. So I'm sure this is going to be as powerful or even more so. Yeah, so excellent. And I will definitely put links to that program on today's show page, and you guys can connect there. So awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mashhur, for joining me today. This was a mind blowing conversation. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Angela. It's been really awesome talking to you. And thanks to all of you who have joined us to have a fun conversation.
Yeah,
Let's create more magic this year.
that's right. It's the fire monkey year. So
Yes, let's create a lot of fire magic.
Fire magic. I'm all for that. Awesome. And now for you, my gorgeous goddess. Was there something that Mashhur or I shared that resonated with you? If so, we'd love to hear about it. Head on over to today's show page at theawakenedgoddess.com and leave us a comment. Did you enjoy this episode? If so, subscribe to the show on iTunes and please share it with all of your friends. And if you want even more incredible resources, join the Awakened Goddess community to get Mashhur's gift and bonus content from the show. And until next time, goodbye, everyone. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show. I hope you enjoyed today's guest and got something you can start using in your life right away. For more spiritual insights and to listen to more episodes, subscribe to The Awakened Goddess Show at theawakenedgoddess.com and discover wisdom that'll change your life.